Hi, I'm Dick Wagner. Welcome to a video or webinar on which is best, a franchise or an independent contractor. I'm really going to approach this from the perspective of you as a contractor or wanting to be a contractor and trying to make the decision whether you want to buy into one of the many existing franchises out there in the marketplace, or if you want to be an independent contractor, completely and totally making your own decisions, spending the money the way you see fit. So I'm going to address a series of 8 or 10 key points that compare the two situations, franchise or an independent contractor. There's been great debate, and I have seen many articles written about whether you should join a franchise organization or remain or be an independent contractor. Each one of those articles and each one of those videos that I've seen brings really good points from their own perspective. I have strong opinions. I'm not going to share those specific opinions very obviously with you because I want you to make your own mind up. But I think going down through the steps of the different aspects of this decision to become a franchise or an independent contractor, you'll kind of draw your own conclusions. First off, franchises claim to have and to be able to bring you many years of experience. Sometimes the newer franchise is simply relying on the original franchise developer's own personal experience. And so the franchise might be 5 years old, but they might be claiming to bring you 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years worth of experience. That may or may not be true, but independents have at their fingertips many experienced coaches and consultants and advisors available to them. And most of the coaches and consultants and advisors available to independents are relatively inexpensive in the big scheme of things compared to what you will end up paying for franchise fees and royalties and so forth. Franchises brag about offering advice, and sometimes they even brag about offering advice that's unbiased. Well, that's really tough for a franchise to bring unbiased advice to you about how to operate your business when, in fact, they want you to operate it the way they structured the franchise. That may be very good for you, but independents can still get a lot of advice and yet they can still do their own thing. Some owners really have that level of determination that they want to do their own thing. Others are a little less sure, they're a little more timid, they're a little more hesitant, and they'd kind of like some sort of a system already in place. Franchises say that they're objective in their decision making. That may be very well true, but will they be objective when it comes to what's good for the franchise? That might not always be what's good for the franchisee. Those of you that choose to sign on with a franchise. The fact is, independents just simply aren't tied to the possible motives of a franchisor. That doesn't mean the franchisor has wrong motives. It just means that as an independent, you're not tied to any of those. You can choose and make your own decisions on all phases of your business. I know that franchises, your franchisor can provide and often do provide technical training. As a corporation, they'll reach out to somebody in the marketplace if they're smaller franchises, and if they're a well-established franchise, they may very well have corporate trainers, people on staff to do some of that basic corporate training. They may even have people on staff to handle and do and take care of and put out there all of the social media exposure that they want and that they think you want. It's interesting. I'm connected to on Twitter hundreds of contractors. Many of them are franchisees. And when the franchisor, the corporate people, put out a tweet that's available to their members, I will see in my Twitter feed dozens of the exact same identical tweet from all of the different franchisees of a given organization. I'm not sure that that's particularly valuable, and even more so, that's just the sheep following the sheep. I mean, there's no independent thinking. They're just simply letting someone else do all of that for them. And that may or may not be good for that local franchise in their specific community or marketplace. Independents, on the other hand, have literally hundreds of choices for great technical training and dozens upon dozens of choices for social media support and help. I want to add here that not all, in fact, much of the social media quote unquote gurus in the marketplace are just hammering out generic information. And that's not what you want either. But as an independent, there are many independent social media experts that do absolutely understand the disaster restoration and the roofing business and can help you with support on social media without pushing out something that's just generic that everybody copies. Franchises do offer branding and image. If they have a big advertising budget, they're pounding out a lot of material, a lot of content and ads, including television ads and radio ads and magazine ads, promoting their particular brand and image, which trickles down to you as the franchisee if you happen to be one of the franchises in that organization. The fact is, however, that whatever branding and image they choose to create for you is what you have. If you have strong designs on going after commercial work and their constant barrage of promotion is all about residential work, you're pretty much stuck. Independents don't have to follow those strict rules and those strict requirements for how they do their branding and their imaging and so forth. Franchises do have, many of them, discount arrangements with many vendors and suppliers so that you can get better pricing on equipment and supplies and the things that you need for your operation. What I'm surprised about is that many of these franchises arrange these discounts and this pricing with certain vendors, and then they take a little bit off the top for themselves, or they expect that particular vendor to cut them back a small portion for themselves. In the case of independents, independents can be a part of many different co-ops and many different discount programs for equipment and supplies. There are vendors out there that offer independents very, very good pricing, and there are networks and co-ops and discount programs out there that you can benefit from by joining those programs. One of them that comes to mind for me is the SCRT, Society of Cleaning and Restoration Technicians. For a couple $100 a year, you can be a member of that organization, and there are many, many vendors that are also associate members of that organization that offer you special pricing. So you're not really stuck having to be a franchise organization to get specials and discounts and great pricing. Franchises do brag about offering an annual conference or convention. I don't think most of you even give a thought to attending a conference or a convention specifically for a franchise organization. Independents can attend many different conferences and many different conventions. I'm not going to list them all here, but what comes to mind is about 5 or 6 of them that are at least annual and sometimes twice a year conferences and conventions held in many areas of the country, and you can attend them for practically nothing. So the franchise in this case really doesn't have a leg up on all of the different conferences and conventions they can offer, because as an independent, you can attend a handful of them every year yourself, and they're all different and have specific themes. Franchises do offer procedures and processes and systems and checklists. Sometimes some of those franchises have really good ones. Others are struggling. Others don't have as great a process or as great a system. Whichever the case, they expect you to follow those processes. They expect you to use those checklists, and they expect you to incorporate their system into what you do, whether it's on the marketing side or the selling side or the responding to a disaster or getting involved in the paperwork or the software and the programs that are out there. An independent simply can choose to subscribe to many different networks and systems that are available to them, and some of them have very good processes and procedures and systems and checklists in place. Many of them have great white papers, and many of them have training videos and on a broad variety of things from sales and marketing to administration to financial suggestions and helps, even to production. So independents aren't stuck with nothing. In fact, the reality is most independents probably have far more at their fingertips than most franchisees do. Franchises, in most cases, do offer an exclusive territory. Interesting, because independents on the other side of the fence have the ability to sell and market and service and do business anywhere they want to go. That's pretty significant. You're not limited to only these specific zip codes. You're not limited to this specific county. You're not limited to this particular community. You are free to sell, market, service, do business anywhere you want to go. If you need a corral, if you need a fence around you to keep you in line, then the franchise probably is your best solution. Franchises are going to require you to use their specific pre-approved colors, their logos, their software, their forms, their documents, their paperwork every single time. An independent is free to create their own, any of those that they want, and they can do them as they so choose. Logos and software and forms are relatively easy to have somebody create. In fact, if you're thinking you want to create a logo, you can have a logo created for $50. Pretty decent one. So you're not going to spend much money to create a logo. There are organizations and networks and groups out there that have software, documents, paperwork, checklists available at your fingertips. And to be a member of those networks is not a lot of money. It might be as little as $500 a month. Franchises do charge a franchise fee. Many franchises charge upwards of $50,000 just to buy into the franchise, and that does not include the cash requirements to get yourself started. That does not include the cash on hand to get all of the software, the paperwork, the equipment, the building, the vehicles. It doesn't include any of that. That's just the fee for them to sign you up. So if you happen to have an extra $50,000 or $60,000 sitting around, man, maybe it's okay that you go the franchise route. As you can imagine, an independent contractor doesn't pay any of those kinds of fees. Use that $40,000 or $50,000 to get a marketer in place. And that $50,000 that you use for a marketer if they're doing what they should be doing, that marketer should be able to generate you 3, 4, 500,000. We expect on the second year, a marketer should be generating $1 million a year in business for you. So that $50,000 may be better spent elsewhere. A franchise also charges on every dollar that you bring in somewhere between 6 and 7 to 12% of a royalty fee. You bring in a $10,000 job, 10% or $1,000 goes to the franchisor. Once again, if that's what you're comfortable with and you feel that the benefits that they're bringing to you are worth that, then by all means, sign up for a franchise and accept that you're going to pay a royalty fee. As you can imagine, independents don't pay these fees. That $1,000 royalty fee on a $10,000 job either goes in your pocket, your bottom line, or it can go toward some marketing expenses or toward a better software or to pay for some of the fees that you want for being part of a valuable network. And here's an interesting thought. Franchises, your franchisor, when you're a franchisee, can assess you an advertising or some other marketing fee if the majority of the franchisees agree. Maybe there are 100 franchises or franchisees, and 60 of them think, okay, I'm all right with paying an extra $300 a month for a special advertising program. Well, if you're in the minority, the 40% that doesn't want to spend that, doesn't matter. You're going to get assessed that fee anyway. So, yeah, it is somewhat of a democratic process. However, as a minority person or being in the minority on that decision, you might not want to spend that extra money. Well, too bad. You're going to spend it. You're going to have it assessed to you anyway. Independents choose their own level of marketing, their own level of advertising. They make those decisions on their own or in conjunction with a marketing coach that can help them. And those costs are pretty minor. The fact is, and if you look at the picture on the screen here, is a franchise right or wrong for you? Is the decision the right decision to go with a franchise? It certainly is your choice to go either way. For some people, the franchise route is the perfect solution for their style, their personality, their expertise, what their abilities and skill and comfort level are. And for other owners, being an independent is absolutely the way they want to go. They simply don't want Big Brother telling them every single step that they have to make. I'm Dick Wagner. I hope this has been useful or helpful to you. Again, I want to clarify, I think you can tell by the way this webinar was presented what my thoughts are, but it always boils down to what your expertise, your comfort is, and everyone is different. So make your decision wisely. Thanks. Bye-bye.